Hi, in this video we're going to look at importing characters and motion capture data into MotionBuilder. Now we've recorded some clips in Twycross Shogun and we've exported these. These are available in two places. We've got these loaded onto our learning system here, and I've downloaded this one here, mocap generic takes example FBX. We're not using C3D files at the moment. FBX files are just slightly easier to work with, so we're working with those. We've also downloaded this character folder, the MotionBuilder intro, and these example Shogun mocap clips. Now I'm going to show you why we're not going to use these ones in a short while, but currently we have downloaded these items ready to work with. So in my folders here I have the three things here that have been downloaded, and I've extracted those folders into this file, these files here. So now to get started, I'm going into MotionBuilder. I'm going to open a character file. Now you can see I've downloaded this from characters within that, and I have a character called Rupert that I'm going to work with, and in this file you can see it is lit. So what I'm going to do, just from this navigator window here, I'm going to look at lights, I'm going to select the spotlight, I'm going to right click it, and I'm going to delete it. So this lighting here is really just for rendering a preview of the character, so I don't need that, I'm getting rid of it. Another thing I'm going to do is look at the characters in the scene. Now this has been downloaded from the Autodesk character generator system, but what I want to do is just rename this character. It is already characterized in a way that you would get if you were working with the HIK rigs in Maya. So I'm just going to rename this as Rupert, character Rupert, so I know what that is, and as I import and characterize other data, then I can start working with that. So I'm just going to do a save as, just so I keep my work clean, and so I can go back to this as well if I need to. I'm going to do this, save that as a working file. This saves any animation takes I've got with it, and anything that I want to have recorded in this will be switched on by these icons here. So I'm just going to save that. Now first of all I'm going to do a motion file import, and again I'm in the motion capture generic takes example FBX files, and I'm going to load in this file here called stop to walk. There's more than just doing a short stop to walk. This is actually quite a lot of different walking files and some other data in there that I'm going to get rid of as well. So this is kind of not a very clean data set here. You can see we've got these two skeletons that aren't actually doing anything, and there's one skeleton that does walk around, turning left and right, stop to walk, walk to stop, and various actions that I may trim down later. It also starts in the T-pose. Now this is important, we'll work with this in a moment. So again, I also have these unlabeled markers up here. Oh, well, I assume they're unlabeled. If I press focus on the keyboard, I can click on them individually, and I'm not getting any, well, I'm getting slight numbers on those, so they're numbered as different items. If I work out what's in my scene, I can look down here and I can see that I do have an element in here called unlabeled markers. So I could either delete that, or because it's got an expanded set of items in there, I want to right click it and I can say select branches. Now that selects everything underneath that hierarchy there, and then I can go to delete and confirm, and they disappear. So I'll go back to look at A. Oops, go away, press the wrong button. If I press A, it frames all in there. Now I've also got these items here. These are the items which were in the Motion Capture Studio. They're actually the cameras that we were working with. So I can either highlight all of these, pressing Shift when I do that, and that should highlight what we call here the system. These are all the cameras we're working with, so I can either do that or I can right click, select branches, right click and delete. So I don't need those in there, so I'm just getting rid of those. Similarly, lastly, these skeletons here, I can right click that, I can either expand branches to see what's in there and select branches and get rid of these ones as well. Now when we're working with Shogun, I can explain how we get rid of those permanently. Now we have two characters in a T-pose, and this will allow us to make this character be retargeted by this other one. So I'm going to start here, I'm going to save this one again, because this is where I want to come back to. So it's useful for me to have this as my work file and come back to this, because I'm going to do some deliberate mistakes. I'm going to bring on, so we've characterized this character here, I'm going to bring on another character from these templates here in the resources asset browser. So in templates you go to characters, you have a character script here that if I drop onto the hips of this item, this skeleton, it will say characterize. If I characterize that, it does have a body part definition error, so I wonder what some of these are called, these spines. So because normally it will connect these spines and necks, but it's really working with the core ones, so that's probably not a big deal for me. So I'm going to press continue. The message here says character must be in stance pose facing the positive Z axis. Character must be in stance pose facing the positive Z axis. Now I can see here with my gizmo, the blue line is the Z, and that's pointing in the opposite direction, but I'm going to say biped, go for it anyway. So I can see if I look at it down here, this gizmo R for X, green for Y, and Z positive is that way. So I've got this the wrong way around. Doesn't matter so far, but when I go to so this is my skeleton character there that's just characterized, but if I go to my Rupert character, tell it to, if I double click this character, it brings up the window, character settings, character active. You can see what's happened there, because it thinks it's the wrong way around, it's matching the right leg across the body there to the other leg. So once I start playing that, everything goes in the opposite direction. You may want that as a special effect, but I assume you didn't. It's got kind of works for me in some ways. These legs going backwards are quite amusing. They must be locked into position. So that's one way of not working with your data, and a mistake you may see as you come through. So I'm going to go back to my working file. I won't save that. Again, it gives me the options of what I want to load in. And this time I'm going to select these hips. I'm going to rotate this. I've got the rotate selected already because I've used that already. So on the toolbars here, I'm going to select rotate, and I'm going to take the green aspect there, which is a Y, and I can see this kind of semicircle coming up, and that shows me how far around the axis I've gone. So as it's full into a full semicircle, that's 180 degrees. Now I should get a readout down here as well, but I'm not seeing that quite right now. So I'm just pressing spine 3, spine 9. So these numbers are out on this, so I could actually go and redo those as I go forward. But at the moment, I'm accepting that, characterizing it, and from here I can characterize and say characterize. I was missing these ones, but I'm going to continue. Stance pose, yes, facing Z positive, biped. So now I'll go back to my character Rupert, tell it to the input type for this animation I want to be character, and I'll activate that. Now it's facing the right direction, flips around because I didn't put a keyframe on that, and then I start to get my animation working there. My character's walking with this clip, and so I've got the most basic style of animation that I can possible with this. Now this is something that I may work with in a different software package, So what I can do, you can go to File here and you can say Send to Maya or Send to 3ds Max. So you send to the package you want to work with for rendering, and it depends on what render options you have available to you. So this master clip here, I'm just checking what that is. So I think that's a David clip. Just trying to see what I need to send over to Maya. So I'm just thinking reference hit character. So this is my character root, but I've just kind of gone through and checked. That will be the skeleton and the any rig that I have on there. Also, I have different elements in there, the teeth, glands, eyes, and different elements. So I want to send that with it. So I'm highlighting in the scene all the items I want to send over. Go to File, go to Send to Maya, Send as New Scene. Now that will process that, will export that as an FBX and connecting to Maya and updating. And my Maya software is opening now, and as that comes through, that should start up and open a scene with this character in it. Now what I haven't done while I'm in MotionBuilder is plot the character. Now plotting the character definitely makes is a way of putting the keyframes onto the skeleton of this character rather than being driven by this skeleton. Now it has in the past proven to me that you can work with this character, you can use this process, and the characterization the process will plot this for you as you send it across to Maya. So I'm hoping that this will come up quite soon. And I can see in my outliner here nothing's coming in. Quite often it will take a little while to do that, so it will come through in a while, and well, it did earlier. While I'm waiting, I will just test it out. There you go, don't save. Sometimes it will open up and you will see nothing in the screen. You'll say, oh, where is it? Luckily I can see now in my outliner that I do have the skeleton and the parts of the body. If I zoom out, I can see that the character is slightly off center. I'll turn that character's textures on, and then I will also bring up my timeline. So I'm going to go back into animation, and I can scroll through and I can see that it has added the keyframes in for me. This allows me to work with this character in Maya. I can render this straight out, or I can start adding things to this scene that I might want to work with. So if I've got these actions here, I might have something that the character will walk around. So I may bring in an item, and what I was starting to work with while I was waiting there is a cube, just to kind of put some block in some areas that might be worth using in my scene. So I just kind of put these markers in for a slight wall, and if I line that up to the place where I want that to be, so he's going to go walk around that, I can then try and line that up so he actually interacts with the scenery quite well. So that should match that position there, and as he comes round, I'm just a little bit too far over with that, so hopefully, yeah, it's a little bit tight on that. So I can either just scale that down, or I'll probably start working with editing as I go forward and take that one out, or take the arms slightly different, or make it extend it so he walks to a different position. But you can see how that works there. That's useful for me to work with that data in that way. I just check there's not a part where so there, that's the part where he walks through that position. So I should actually shrink that down half and bring that up so he actually does walk around it. Still, he's definitely needs to be slightly tweaked to make that work. And again, he walks through it at the end, but that's something I'll probably not use. It's probably out of character there. But I can see him walk around that in that way. So if I want to send this back, sorry, I pressed the wrong button again. If I want to send this back to MotionBuilder, I can actually add this part to the MotionBuilder scene if I want to. So I'll just push that down so actually the arm comes over. So he's kind of walking around a block, but it's not in the way. And I'll also create a polygon plane to put in the bottom of this as well. So this will allow me to really widen that out. So I can start just seeing where he's going, if his feet are going through the floor, and those kind of aspects as well. So we've got this kind of mocking up a set that we're working with, and I can see there his feet are actually going through the floor. So that's something I might want to deal with either here or in MotionBuilder. So I can say here, send to MotionBuilder, add to current scene. So I selected 2 items there, sending it to MotionBuilder, and now I can see this character's in there, and actually defaulted to take 1, so it didn't actually work after that. And then I can see this in here with this fully active. I have a few features on. I have display X-ray, which means I can see through the character. I've also got the character selected, so I'll turn that one off. Turn off X-ray. Display normal. How about that? And also I can tell it which bits to view. I'll probably do that from up here. So show and hide skeleton, and show and hide other elements. No, show and hide skeleton. Let's show and hide that skeleton. If I select this, I may be able to hide that as well, but I'm not 100% sure. Show and hide floor contact. No, that's not going to hide that one. But I should be able to turn that off from the display. So models only will allow me to hide that one, and go back to normal, that will come back. So models only will allow me to get rid of that. He is going through the floor. But generally I can have this scene in there and he can walk around that as he needs to. So the good thing about MotionBuilder is it does run in real time. So we can see what's going to happen with this as we go forward. So that's the most basic way, most standard way of working with the motion capture data using the FBXs. So I'm going to save this as Rupert working file number 2, and I'm going to save that into here, and then I'm going to just move forward, and I'm going to show you one of the other issues you may have with some of this motion capture data. So I'm going to open the original working file, open, and I'm actually not going to work with that clip. I'm going to bring in another one, motion file import, which is some of the edited files that I've made already. But I've trimmed these down so they haven't actually got a T-pose. This is the thing that I'm working on with this. So if I do, I'm going to take on some runs. So this one here, run. No, actually no. I'm going to make sure motion file import. I'm going to take on so quite a simple one, walk. Okay, so it's a very similar file. I'm going to create this one here, and so I should get this one. It's actually showing me the clip name of what it was when I exported it from. The tape name has the same thing as the source clip that I took this from. This is an edited version from Shogun that I have been working with. So this should show me the walk here. This character walking. And there you go. So that's the whole clip from one end to the other. Now, and this one is facing the Z positive. I can see that here. The blue line is facing forwards over here. But what I haven't got with this is this T-pose. So I go back to this one, and if I characterize this, characterize, again, it hasn't got the spline 1 and 2, seems to have other items in there, so characterize Z, it's not in the stance pose, but I'm putting that into biped there. So that's given me the character. I haven't characterized that one. If I double click this character, tell it to work with the other character, you can see what's going to happen here is that it's expecting that to be in a T-pose to match the T-pose I'm working with here, and it has arms that are stretched up. So really what I need to do is work with this clip over here, which I do have that same part. So if I, no, let's go back to the process. I will rotate that 180 and then characterize it. There's also something else I have been recommended to do, which is to right click and 0 all rotations. So I'm not going to do it now because it didn't work earlier, but then I should characterize this in this pose, characterize, continue, biped, and so that one should then, I can work with that in this way. So character Rupert, it's uncharacterized now, so I'll turn that one off. Biped, it was in the right place. Character, start, character, active, this character, and so this one works better. So you can see character there, the arms are offset from that skeleton, but in this one, character 1 it's called, they are matching quite a bit better. I had the wrong take on, so that one's not moving, but you can actually see that take was taken from this area, and we can get that to work. Now within the character definition, no, character set it, character definition, we have that turned on to turn that to make that characterize or not characterize. But in this aspect here, we can actually work with different aspects of the character, and there's quite a few options we can turn on or off. This one here called match source will make this character match exactly the source motion, so that should make the feet go to exactly the same position as the skeleton's feet. So I'm going to turn that on now, and there's some other adjustments you can look at in here, so that's worth looking at and having a go at. A lot of offsets and different tweaking you can do with this. So initially getting the character to work is a start, and then working with this forward of here, you'll be taking it through to rendering. I'm just going to try one more thing, which is importing one of these clips that I was saying doesn't work. So in this case, I'll bring in the idle clip, which is just standing there, and what I want to try and do here is just 0 all of these, so 0 rotation on that one. So it did perhaps on that one, maybe I need to select the branches also. So if I go into the scene, got that one there, select, expand selection, select branch, selected all of them. I actually don't want that data, I only want the hierarchy. So these ones are the optical data, the blue ones, so the labels in there. So I'm actually not going to worry about that too much, but I'm going to try this 0 rotations on that. So I wonder if I can. No, it's not wanting me to do that. 0 rotation there. Now I can get that to be in the stance pose, and then I should be able to drop this on to the hips. Come on, give me the hips. There. Characterize. Continue. Biped in the Z positive. So now I have a character 3. So I'm hoping character 3 will become active in that way, and if I do start playing this clip, you can see that he does jump to that position and starts to work. So this is the way of making it work, and forcing that into a T-pose, and you can actually see here he's probably got a better position on this characterization. These arms and stuff are closer than in some of the other ones. But anyway, that's an introduction to this MotionBuilder, and should get you started with working with clips and making characters move and being able to put them into your preferred software and building up, blocking out sets that you might use for that, so you can actually work in a positive way to bring your sets together. So it's useful having sets in here so you can actually see how the character interacts as you're editing your data. Next we're going to go on to story editing, and we'll have a look at how we can edit this data to make this kind of a sequence of moves work with the character.